Hello, my name is Marissa Hall, and I'm here to tell you about my SUU Edge project. For my project, I went abroad to London and Cardiff with a group of theater and English students in May of 2016. I decided to do this for my project because my goal is to become an English teacher and teach high school students at one point, so I thought this would be a valuable experience to have under my belt to help benefit my future students. Let's dive right in. I've created a montage of pictures from my trip. This picture is of the station. You see everyone with the backpacks, the luggage. That's all of us arriving into the station, having our adventures on the subway. This is me on the right-hand side and three other girls from the trip. We visited many, many locations around London. Here you see Big Ben. We witnessed the training of the guard. This pictured is Buckingham Palace in the background. We visited there to see the changing of the guard, which was a marvelous ceremony, and I also found it rather interesting how almost every person you see was not looking at the guards, they were looking at them through their phone. After we went to Buckingham Palace, we took a walk down the National Mall. It was really beautiful, lots of amazing buildings. You can see the very iconic red double-decker bus. Here you have the National Gallery in Trafalgar Square. There are always lots of performers who are drawing on the sidewalk, collecting photographs, wanting people to pose with them, etc. Here we have Yoda, who I posed and did several pictures with. Some of my favorite paintings in the National Gallery were those by Van Gogh, who's one of my all-time favorite painters. Here you have one of his most famous paintings, which most of you will recognize, as well as a few others that even I had not realized or known about. They're all quite beautiful. Later we went to go see Matilda in the West End, which was a fantastic production. Here you see this is on the wall of the station at Baker Street, which was our home base essentially. And since it's on Baker Street, you have a picture of Sherlock Holmes, and this profile is made up of hundreds of tiny miniature profiles of Sherlock Holmes. And here I am at 221B Baker Street on our first day going around the city. Here we have the British Museum, which is a remarkably enormous museum, lots of really cool exhibits inside. My all-time favorite was the Rosetta Stone. For obvious reasons, I was very excited to be able to see this exhibit. Here is the Cathedral St. John's. It is absolutely beautiful. Later in the week, I decided to go back by myself and climb to the top of the dome, and I'll show you pictures of that in a minute. Here we visited Fleet Street, for those familiar with Sweeney Todd. I am eating a meat pie on Fleet Street, so you might understand my apprehension. We also visited Hardee's, which is a cute little candy shop that they have dotted around the city. In the background are several others from the Study Abroad group. This bridge should be familiar to anyone who is a fan of the Harry Potter films. It is featured in the last film with Death Eaters destroying this bridge. Thankfully, it is not actually destroyed. Here, this was also from the British Museum, the discus throw, a very famous sculpture. This is a panorama of the Globe Theatre, which we saw a production of Midsummer's Night Dream in, and that was a wonderful, wonderful production. Very interesting. I was in the standing room, so I was on the floor with the actors going in between us a lot, and that was a very unique experience. One of the days we went to see both the Railway Children and In the Heights, which were both on the same stage, remarkable productions. We went to a pub and had fish and chips because everyone who visits London should eat fish and chips, and actually I did not enjoy it, but I'm glad that I tried it. This view is actually looking down a bookcase in the British Library, which is a ridiculously enormous library and so, so beautiful. The architecture in London is just incredible. We visited King's Cross And platform 9 3/4, they have this little cart set up so that people can take pictures. Here is one of the balconies in St. Paul's Cathedral. When I went back on my own to climb to the top of the dome, get amazing panoramic views. You can see the Thames River on the left-hand side, as well as the London Eye in the background, and several cathedrals that are in the vicinity. Just absolutely beautiful views. Here is along the National Mall. This is our entire group, all the students posing next to this gorgeous garden. This is Westminster Abbey, which I was not allowed to take any pictures inside, which I wish I could have. It's filled with tons of memorials and tombs from all sorts of royalty. And my favorite part was the Poets' Corner, which features memorials and tombs from dozens of writers and poets and musicians, and it's absolutely beautiful. Everyone from Shakespeare to the Bronte sisters to Handel. It was amazing. Here we went to the Tate Museums. This is a painting by Salvador Dali, who's another one of my favorite painters. And this is another very famous painting that I think most people would recognize. At one point, we went around London and found the police box from the show Doctor Who. We were studying science fiction in London, so we went and found the TARDIS. And then afterwards, we went to Madame Tussauds, which is the wax museum, actually situated quite close to where we were staying at Regent's College. One of my favorites was Van Gogh. I got to take a picture with him, Shakespeare, Han Solo. Later in the week, I took a day trip and visited several locations, among which were Windsor Castle, which was just absolutely beautiful. We went to the village of Bath, which is actually where Jane Austen had lived for several years. Here we were in the village of Laycock, where it's actually kept as a preserved historical site and used for a lot of filming. This particular location was used in filming some of the Harry Potter films. You may recognize the graveyard from Godric's Hollow. This is where Harry encountered who he thought was Bathilda Bagshot. And here is the Potter's home, which was destroyed before the books officially began. I also, in that day, went to Stonehenge, which was absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, you are not allowed to approach the stones anymore due to people hacking off pieces to take home with them, but they are arranged so you can take pictures without seeing a lot of other tourists around. We took a day trip to the Harry Potter Studios, which was absolutely incredible. We spent a good portion of the day doing tours. As you can see, I am wearing my Ravenclaw scarf quite proudly. Here we are in the Great Hall, which the set was moved there. This is what they used for filming. That you see the house tables. It's absolutely incredible. They show you a lot of behind the scenes production materials. Here is Hagrid's head, which I was surprised to find out that was actually an animatronic. And the last part of the tour, you see Hogwarts Castle. This is what was used for all the exterior shots. It is absolutely enormous. You can see on the right-hand side, there's a person for scale. The lights would change and it was just absolutely gorgeous. And you can see how large it was with these people on the right-hand side. And as you leave the tour, you go through Ollivander's wand shop, where if you are so inclined, you can buy a wand that belonged to one of the characters. Afterward, we went to the Tower of London, which I was surprised to learn was not actually a tower, but more of a complex. And last day, we went to Cardiff. And so here you have the very famous Memorial Theatre. And we decided to go to the Doctor Who experience and spent a good portion of the day walking through there. So that was a trip. I learned a whole lot from this, and I really hope to be able to use this information to educate anyone who cares to learn about it, as well as my students in my future classrooms. Thank you very much for listening.